Hi, welcome to today's edition of the S.H.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. And I am really excited to be bringing you my special guest today. This is a topic we have not talked about that we're going to dive into today, which is creating your going from side hustle to financial freedom and really stepping into your calling and your dream with Leslie Fiorenzo. And so before I introduce you, Leslie, because I'm really excited to talk with you today, I'm just going to give everybody a brief introduction and then we're going to dive in. Does that sound good?
Sounds great, Heidi.
Awesome. So after failing to win the top prize in a speech contest early in her career, Leslie began her journey toward excellence in public speaking. She earned her competent Toastmaster certificate, graduated from the Michigan Speakers Association Professional Track Program, and has spoken to thousands of sales professionals and business owners about how to grow their business using referral marketing. In her coaching practice, she guides her clients to find their voice and share their unique story to grow their business. And I'm really excited about this on two fronts, everyone. The one is we're going to dive into her side hustle and what she's doing now, and then moving into her coaching business and the challenges she's been facing, and also her dreams and goals and vision, but also that this is so in tune with the message that I want to bring out in with this podcast of S.H.E, of being seen, being heard, really stepping into your voice, empowering yourself to stand in your power, shine your light, and be unapologetically you and authentically you in the world to leave a legacy, create a difference, and transform other people's lives. And Leslie is talking with her behind the scenes. She encompasses this, and she is the epitome of all these things. So welcome, Leslie. I'm really so honored and excited to chat with you today.
I'm thrilled to be here, Heidi. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. So my first question for you is, usually I ask the question of, was this a specific journey that you've been on where you went through your own transformation and now you're doing it? But obviously from how I introduced you, we already know that's the case. So can you share some challenges and what your business looks like now and your vision of where you want it to go?
So right now, because it is a side hustle and I don't have the opportunity to focus 100% of my day, and it's not quite where I want to be in terms of the clients that I've served, I have had an opportunity to work with several people, and my goal obviously is to grow everybody's business. I mean, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? We've got to grow our businesses, but I want to be able to really make a difference for people who are somewhat reluctant to be seen and be heard and to step into their powerful, authentic voice. Because I believe we are all given that seed of an idea for entrepreneurship for a reason, and we've got to act on it. And I heard this analogy once: ideas are like slippery fish. If we don't act on them, they can slip away from us. So, and quite frankly, Heidi, I tried to go back and be a good corporate citizen and, and it's not that I don't do my job. I feel like I do my job, but the idea of something on my own will not go away. So I started this, officially launched my paperwork with my attorney last October. I've had some groups, some clients, and slowly building.
That's incredible. And I've never heard the slippery fish analogy before. So that's a first for me. So thank you for sharing that. And, and yes, you're putting your head down, you're doing the corporate job, you're doing the things, you've been doing this. How long have you been in the corporate space now?
Oh, my entire career.
Wow. So what was it that you have in you, like what you just shared, what I gathered from that and what I heard was that you have this intense calling on your heart that is pulling you in a different direction now. So why not retirement? Like why do you like this is, and I love this because you're like, you're stepping into I don't want to use the word mantra, but I'm going to say it, into the space of it's not too late. It's never too late to go after your dreams or to follow a new calling. Like we don't have to stay where we are. We're always evolving and growing. And I always share this with my clients and to my audience is like, where you are now doesn't mean you're going to be here in 10 years, 5 years, or even next month, like a year from now or next month, like if you have, and I love that you stepped into, like, if your ideas are brought to you and if you don't act on them, like there's a specific purpose for that idea coming to you because it's a gift for you. So can you talk into that and what, what drove you to move from, why not retirement? Let's start there. Why not
Okay.
retirement?
Well, because I don't know what I would do if I didn't work. And I want to be independent. I do want to have some more flexibility in my time. And like I said, I feel like compelled to do this because I've seen so many people struggle and I don't feel like it has to be a struggle. So let me just say it that way. So having said that, I've been in corporate my whole career, which I have, but I lost a job in the early 2000s. I was terminated from a job. And so I thought I would go out on my own. Didn't work, went back to work. Uh, just before COVID hit, met a woman who her goal was to certify coaches in her program. We had this game plan all set, gave my notice, and then the world fell apart. So fortunately for me, I was able to go back to a corporate role. And I'm at the point in my life where like I said, I want to be impactful, just not working for someone else. So
Mm.
you talked about the fact that, it isn't too late. I read something somewhere. It's never too late to be who you might have been. And there's many famous people. I mean, Colonel Sanders, he was in his mid-60s. The artist Grandma Moses, I think she was like in her 80s, right?
Yes.
There's a number of people
Vera
that
Lang,
yeah.
Martha Stewart. There's so many women who start in their 50s.
Mhm.
I'm 51, so I hear you. I totally get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you are encompassing that and, a great example and role model and now mentor for in that space. So you shared when I introduced you, we shared that you failed when can you share more of that story? Like you went out into a speaking competition or contest and what was that process for you and what happened during that journey?
So I belong to a business and professional women's organization that I don't know that it exists in the world anymore, but I had a mentor who encouraged me. And then after I was not successful, she was really instrumental in continuing to encourage me and explored. She encouraged me to go to Toastmasters, which I always recommend people if they want to build on their presentation skills, no matter where they are in their career. It's a great organization. And so I just gradually over time invested in myself and have had opportunities in different roles and different jobs, spend a lot of my time educating people corporately, also, the groups in the companies that my employer serves as a way to encourage program participation. So I spend quite a bit of my day speaking to groups, much more virtually now as we are doing. And that's the beauty I think that's one good thing that probably came out of the pandemic is this is more normal, it's more expected, and it sure saves on the wear and tear on the car.
True. Very true. So when that event happened and you didn't win the speaking event,
Yeah.
basically it can be seen as a failure, and that's what you shared in your bio that you failed there with in that first event. Why did you keep going? What made you continue? Because a lot of people when they fail, they just give up. So what was it that kept you moving forward and drove you into where you are now?
Well, I believe it's wouldn't let me alone. I guess let's say put it that way. But taking inspiration from others and knowing that I was involved with a program based on the book The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. And it was a training program. So this is 24-ish years ago. But one of the modules was exactly about failure and how many people. One of the examples I clearly remember was Decca Records turning down the Beatles because they said guitar music is on the way out. They didn't like their sound. Those kinds of examples. And there's, Walt Disney failed. Lucille Ball was told she wasn't talented. There's many, many examples throughout history of that kind of thing. And we can embrace the opportunity to learn and grow. Probably 2 years ago, I listened to the Audible book, The Gap and the Gain.
Mm.
Dan Sullivan is
Mm.
an executive coach, and his writing partner was a physician, I believe. Not going to remember his name right off the top of my head. But one of the things, their essential message was you can focus on the gains or you can focus on the gap. Too many of us focus on where we're not, what's failing, what's not working. And what we need to do is use those as learning experiences, but focus on how far we've come. And I think journaling helps with that because you can look back and see, I was here a year ago, here I am now. Even weeks ago, the opportunity to document our growth and look at things in a positive light. We can, if we're not careful, get so caught up in the misery. And, misery loves company. And you see that on social media all the time. Just everybody, let's stop
Yeah.
and applaud ourselves and encourage each other. That's why I love what you're doing, is encouraging women to be all they can be. Sounds like the army. I guess that's their saying. But really it's
All you
about,
can be. But no, but it's so true.
I think it's important because I feel like in many ways, many of us are taught that we're competing with each other. And I think this idea of collaboration and support, and I know the audience for me might not be the audience for somebody else. Everybody has a right fit or ideal client, but there's room for everybody at the table. We can't possibly all serve the people we need to serve. There just isn't enough time in the day.
Exactly. And I love that you said that because you are speaking my language, Leslie. I always say there's no such thing as competition. Yes, there are other people in your space who are doing things similar to you. And you better hope there are, because if there isn't anybody doing what you do, there's probably a reason for it, right? There's probably not a market for it. And there's a reason that it's not viable. So
Right.
you want that quote unquote competition, but at the end of the day, I don't see it as competition. Like you said, there's 8 billion people, possibly more in the world now. Like, there's no way that I can serve all those people or you can serve all those people. We need it. And collaboration is currency. Collaboration is the new currency. Connection is currency. Like, coming together as a united front and supporting each other, especially as women. There's enough cattiness going on in the background for many women. Like, I don't play that game. My daughter is 15. She doesn't do the drama. Does she like hear in the drama? She's 15. Of course she does, but she doesn't like to be involved in it. And I'm like, oh, you loved it. She goes, oh, I love drama. I just don't want it in my life. And it's so true. So eventually she'll get older. She'll get past that. Right. But as far as business women go, like, there's plenty out there. We should be supporting each other and raising each other up. And when people are drawn to you, they're drawn to you because of you, who you are authentically, your uniqueness, your story. Like, you help people share. Your story is powerful. And I remember when I first started my business 6 years ago, and I moved at a slower pace, going back like you did. I went back to work and then I came back into entrepreneurship because entrepreneurs have a deep tugging. There's a tug, there's a pull. If you're an entrepreneur, and it's not for everybody, and that's okay. Just because you're not an entrepreneur doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. You're special and you have a gift to give the world too, just in a different way. There's no right or wrong. But when it comes to being an entrepreneur, and many people don't understand the entrepreneurship. Like, you may have heard it. Why are you doing this, Leslie? Like, you can be enjoying retirement. Like, why do you want to do this? Like, enjoy your life, go travel. And you can travel as an entrepreneur. That's the beauty of it. You can still do all the things, but the people that don't have that tugging and that pull and that risk, there's risk involved. Like, there is risk involved, and it can be scary, and there's fear. And that's why I love so much. They don't understand it, but that I love so much that you kept going. And you were very intelligent and smart when you started this journey. You immediately hired a mentor, because I heard you when you said, I had a mentor who was with me that, was there when you when you failed, quote unquote, failed at winning
Yeah.
that event. It was your first speaking engagement.
Yeah.
And from what I read on your website, you are white knuckling that podium. So can you go, like, how do you help your clients move through that fear? Because you had the fear. And I went to a speaking competition back in October of last year. And
Yeah.
I remember when I debated about doing it, because my goal this year is to be speaking live on stages. I speak on virtual stages all the time, but I want to be on live stages. That's my next cut. And so this opportunity came across my email, and I was like, I don't have time to put together a 1 minute speech. I don't have time to put together a 2 minute speech if I make it through that round. That it was like at the end of that next week. And my calendar was already full. And also reading it and debating about, should I, like, is it possible for me to do this? The fear kicked in from when I first felt the fear of actually going live when I was virtual. My throat closed, my chest got tight, I started pounding, I started sweating. All of those physical reactions of the fear showed up, and I was like, this is my next cut. I must do this. But many people don't do that. And it took me years to walk through and recognize when that feeling shows up for me, that means that is definitely the direction that I need to go in, because it's not going off of a cliff in a car. Like, I'm not going to die over this experience, but I know it's going to be my next level. So how do you help your clients? Because from what I read on I checked you out. You are white knuckling the podium, and that's the feedback you got from your mentor. So
Yeah.
how do you help how do you move through that? How do you help your clients? So for someone listening right now, that's like, I could never go on a podcast even. I have a client that I'm working with, and I'm like, your next cut is a podcast. She is great virtually. She can talk to anybody. She immediately got nervous. And I said, exactly, that's where you get to go next. So how do you help your clients, helping them move through their speaking journey and share their voice and step out into that light, move through that process?
Well, one of the first things I always talk about with my clients is taking your inner critic and changing it into an inner champion, because we all have that little voice
I like that.
that keeps us, that holds us back, that tells us false stories, that shares information that, oh, you can't do this. It's not encouraging. We want to change it into an encourager. So we have a process, but a lot of that, then that internal work, if you will, but breathing techniques are super helpful. And what do you tell yourself about the audience? So I am statements are very powerful. I'm sure you've heard of affirmations.
Yeah.
Maybe even use them yourself. A lot of people do, but finding out the affirmations that resonate with people, but helping them understand, first of all, your audience is supportive. They're there because they want to hear from you. It's pretty rare. Yes, there are critics, and yes, online there are trolls and people who are nasty and maybe live to cut others down. I'm not really sure, but okay, that happens.
Yeah.
Just move through it, get over it, right? But when I think about standing before a group of people, seeing them in that light, that they're there because they want my message, they're there to support me, and we can more or less have a conversation. If I'm on stage, what I tell people, pick out 2 or 3 friendly faces. Obviously, you want to look around the room if you're in person. So there's a person on the left, there's a person on the right, and there's somebody you can talk to in the middle. Talk to those folks. Forget everybody else. On camera, pretend it's your best friend across from you. Think about that person who's really supportive, who always has your back. Share your story with them. And so it doesn't have to be when we have a Zoom room full of people and we're looking at all of those little icons of folks on the screen. Just pick out one and really talk to the camera and not try to talk to the individuals, shifting your eyes. Focus right on the camera and talk to those people there.
Oh, that's such great, so great, great pointers and great advice. And when you were talking about that, a lot came to mind. Like, people want you to win. The audience wants you to win. They're not there because they want you to fail. So if you go up knowing that those are my people out there, they're my champions, like, they want me to win, and they're hungry for your message, and they want to get they want to walk away with a win from you, and they want to jump up and clap for you. That's their goal. That's why they're there. And also another thing came up for me as an audience member. This was a great reminder to me. Be that person when you said, look for the 2 to 3 people who are like, that you can lock into, that are like focused on you. As an audience member, for you listening, smile and being in the audience, give that person some positive feedback, and that's great support for them too. So I took both sides of that coin away from you right now, like because I want to be a speaker. So now just listening to you, I'm like, I get to be a supportive audience member. I get to be who I want there for me when I walk out on stage, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, like people, they want you to win. It's so, you know, also you gave some tips on what to do, and what came up for me when you shared that is visualization. And I'm not great at that. I'm getting better at it, but spending some time maybe before, like imagining the room, imagining that everybody's smiling or 10 people are smiling, because when you create it and imagining how it's going to go, so like when you walk out on stage, you've already been there so many times because you're imagining it in your mind. And you brought up journaling before too, maybe journaling the fear, like when you're practicing your speech, and put some supportive, sometimes family members are the worst people for me to get in front of. Like I'd rather, but so put people in the room though that you feel comfortable with, but also will bring you some fear, so you can journal about that fear. So when you walk out on stage, it's already something that you've worked through, So thank you for sharing that. So much came up for me with that, because I know that's going to be me at some point, because as the stages get bigger, the fear shows up every time we're doing something new. And that's another thing too, is do you find this, Leslie, every time that we're doing something new, like we get really comfortable where we are, and then every time we're about to step into our next level, whether it's income level, whether it's doing something new, like on a podcast, we've never done podcast guesting before, or we're launching a podcast, or we're starting a new program, or maybe you're building a team and you haven't built a team. Anytime there's something new, the fear kicks in.
Yes.
And that's awesome. That means that you're about to up level and go to your next step.
Yeah. I think you mentioned that. You said that you recognize when that shows up for you, it's a direction that you need to head. And so I think that paying attention to that positive inner voice, because again, that inner critic will hold us back. It likes its comfort zone, and it likes that I don't want necessarily to be challenged. Please don't make me do this. Well, we need to do this in order to grow. We can't stand still. I think it was Will Rogers that said, even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you sit still. So we've got to be able to take action and make those connections, put ourselves out there in a positive, impactful way. And to me, that is the words you use, the story you tell, the story you share, and the way you share it.
So, and you mentioned too, like turning your inner critic into your inner champion. I love that. I haven't heard that put that way. So I think that's brilliant. So for you listening, like write that down, stick it on a sticky. Your inner critic is no longer your inner critic, it is your inner champion. Be like the people in the audience who want you to win. You should be championing for yourself more than they're championing for you. And what was another thing you said something else that I loved too, but it'll come back. So what does it look like to work with you? Can you share what that looks like for those people who are like, how do I get, more of Leslie? And what does it look like if I was to reach out to you to work with you? Like, what is that path? What's that journey look like?
We just have, first of all, I start with a conversation to really see if there's a fit. Because again, like I said, we're not always right for everyone. And people have to be willing to do the work. That's the other thing about, there's a lot of information out there. And I know, well, I have a YouTube channel, so you can find stuff for free. There's a lot of free information out there that you can act on. What I feel happens though is we don't always hold ourselves accountable. We break promises to ourselves very frequently. So a coach can help you keep those promises. But there's other ways to do that. An accountability partner, a mentor, some of those kinds of things. So am I the right resource? Are we the right fit? And then I have a 6-module program that I take people through and really I want to discover what their end game is. Where do they want to be at the end? So I've worked with people that simply want to build their confidence in that way so that they can go on podcasts, they can speak at virtual summits, those kinds of things. I've also worked with people who want to do live events. In a couple cases, they have been invited by their franchise. They've been very successful in building their franchise, and the franchisor has said, come speak at the conference. No, 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 can't do that. So yes, now they're going to do that. So I'm thrilled that they're going to be. And in one case, it was someone who had experience on panels, but was terrified because they were invited to give a keynote and never keynoted before. And that prospect, like you said, when you up level your game, that change, that stepping into something new can be frightening for a lot of people. So helping
Yeah,
them get over it, right.
amazing. And like when you up level your game too, like you mentioned earlier, if there's people out there that don't, typically there's not people out there that don't want you to win, but sometimes you'll get the haters or whatever.
Yeah.
In those cases, that means you're making your mark. You put your stake in the ground. That means you've made it, like in some capacity. If you're stirring the pot to where you've got a quote unquote hater, then you know what? Welcome that in, like fear, wrap your arm around it and go, thank you. That means I'm making an impact. Because if everything's quiet, you're probably part of the noise. You are not standing in your own truth, and you're not being authentically you and showing up and putting your stake in the ground and creating your blue ocean versus being in the red ocean with all the other sharks. And I love that you mentioned that earlier, because it came to mind Brene Brown when she did her TED talk, and she got all that negative feedback, and her family and her publicity manager said, do not look at the comments. So of course, what did she do? And the comments were just like personally negative when they don't even know the woman. And then she read the foreword or the quote from, I think it was Theodore Roosevelt, which is like, if you're not in the arena, your feedback doesn't matter to me. So if you're getting out on stage and you're doing your thing and you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you're getting negative feedback, it doesn't matter, because they're not in the arena doing it with you. You come in the arena and do it with me, because everybody else is in the bleachers. The bleachers are always full. There's only a small team down there in the arena fighting the fight, doing the thing every day, right? Walking that lonely 1 mile. There's only a few of us out there. So if somebody else is being negative about it, shut them off, because they can stay in the crowd and you get to make your mark. And people that form the world, they're going to get that negative feedback because they're making an impact and they're standing in their truth. So thank you so much for bringing that into light. I am so grateful. I just want to share with you, I'm so grateful that you're here, because you, to me, are truly authentic, and we don't see a lot of that out there. So I just want to share, and I haven't said that, like, I love all my guests. They're amazing. Everybody's amazing. But that's the one big takeaway from me that I have with you, is that you're just very transparent. You're walking the talk, right? You're doing the thing. You're still in corporate. You're doing this as a side hustle. I know that behind the scenes, we talked about your goal of when you're going to be leaving corporate and doing this full time. And you people out there are blessed that she's going to go full time, because she's just from the little bit that we've got to know her here, she's amazing. So how do we find you, Leslie? And first, when are you leaving corporate?
Well, my plan is in the next few weeks. So you said this would probably air in June or July. So by that time, I would, that's my plan.
Awesome. So by the time you hear her, she's out there, she's available. So where can we find you? I know that you said YouTube. You're out on YouTube giving the information. And yes, just like you said, I agree with you. There's so much free information out there, but accountability and confidence comes from holding true, from following through with the commitments that we make to ourselves. And like you said, Leslie, many of us don't hold the commitments that we make to ourselves. We let ourselves off the hook easily. And when that happens, our subconscious keeps tally of that. So when we do say we're going to do something, our subconscious is like, no, she's not. She hasn't done this. There's a whole file folder, like a whole filing cabinet of the things that we haven't done. So she's not going to do this. So our confidence is down. So by hiring a mentor, bringing in support, whether that looks like you said, and I love the fact that you're like, I want to know if we're a fit. You're not the type of coach. And that's why I said I'm really appreciative of you being here and how authentic and genuine you are. You're not just open taking anybody. You're very specific on who you're going to work with. And you really want to get to know the person as a person to see if you're compatible to work together. If not, you will send them in the direction that they need to be. So where can we find you? YouTube and where else?
Well, on my website, so
Okay.
lesliefiorenzo.coach is where they can find me. And there's a book a call button. There's a freebie button, whatever they choose to do would be great either way.
Perfect. We're going to put all the links in the show notes so you can grab them there, but definitely go check her out, Leslie Fiorenzo. And is that how we find you on YouTube too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So go to her website, to her YouTube, definitely go check her out, follow her, subscribe, and connect with her. She's an amazing human, an amazing woman. Leslie, what would be a tip that you could share for somebody that is in the same position that like you've this has been a calling on your heart. You're like, I know this is my next chapter. What would you say to somebody? What's the number one thing somebody could do, or the one or two things they should do, tips or tools they should, strategies, whatever it is, to move from working a day 9 to 5 corporate, whatever that looks like, into creating that side hustle and moving into full time?
So create a plan. Find someone who's done what you want to do and follow their footsteps. I would also say hire a coach, because coaches, and again, find the right coach for you, somebody who you feel like is going to give you a good advice. And again, someone who's been there. So people that are supportive and the right fit for you. I just can't say enough that it's got to be a fit for both the coach and the coachee, if you will,
Yeah.
because we're not all right for everyone. And finding that fit. So maybe you have to have 2 or 3 conversations with 2 or 3 different people. But I just feel like don't go it alone. I guess that's my unless you are very committed, and there are some people who are. And you talked about that confidence, and the actions of confidence come first, and then the feelings of confidence come later. So being willing to take those actions, and if you can do that on your own, more power to you. That would be great. So even a girlfriend who's honest and forthright to help you, Leslie, you said you were going to do this. Why haven't you done it? Those accountability partners can be very helpful.
Yes, that's so true. Don't find an accountability partner that's going to like if you're wanting to get up and you make a commitment to exercise every day, right? And then you have you and your sister are going to do it. And then you're like, no, I'm tired of doing it today. And your sister's like, oh, okay, we'll just do it tomorrow. That's not an accountability partner. You want somebody that's going to hold your feet to the fire and go, no. And typically that is not your family and friends. I'm just speaking from experience. It's not your family and friends. We let each other off the hook because we love each other. We want to let us slide. Coaches don't do that, especially a really good coach. So I agree with you, finding a coach, making sure and do your research. I always say, do your research, consume some content. And then just because somebody's a guru does not mean that they're a fit for you. So make sure that you're like you said, finding the person that's right for you, which is beautiful. And there's something else you said, and I lost it again. Because you said so many golden nuggets. What was it? Oh, it was right on the. I'm gonna look back on this, and I'm like, I wanted to bring that home, or go deeper with that. You just
Was it
shared.
about confidence?
No, was it? It was right before that. It was right. It was hiring a coach and a mentor. But it was so good. And I'm gonna listen back on this and I'm gonna be like, I really wanted to go deeper there. That's okay. There were so many golden nuggets here. It was so good. But finding the person that's right for you. Oh, that's going it alone. From experience, going it alone. If you, like you said, finding somebody who's been there, success leaves clues.
Yes.
So
yes.
they're going to be able to get you there faster. But you also mentioned a word earlier, you need to be coachable. So make sure when you hire a mentor, if you hire a mentor and you're not going to follow the advice, it's not the coach. you got to do the work. Like you
Yeah.
said earlier, you got to do the work. And that happens no matter who you hire, you're going to need to do the work. Just because somebody may look like a guru, if you don't do their work, it's not going to work for you. So you need to make sure that you're ready and you are coachable. So when you walk into a phone call with someone like yourself, Leslie, or somebody was going to talk, if I was going to talk to anybody, that's one of the questions I ask. Are you coachable? Are you willing to do the work? If you are not there, I don't want to take you on. I don't want your money because it's not going to work.
Yes.
And we want success as coaches and mentors who really care. And that's why I shared with you earlier, like I'm just so grateful you're here. And I'm so glad to have this conversation because you come across as a very caring, loving coach with shake. Like I tell my clients, I shake them with love. Like
Yes.
we're going to hold their feet to the fire. We're going to hold them accountable. You come across with love and expertise and also that accountability piece that's going to get the job done. And they still get to come 100% too, to meet you there. Yeah.
Well, and I can't want it for my client more than they want it for themselves.
Yes.
So they have to be willing to come and, like you said, do the work and be open to suggestions, try things out, look at it as an experiment, and to the greatest degree possible, have some fun. So
Oh,
yeah,
yes, business gets to be fun. That's the great thing about entrepreneurship. It gets to be fun. You get to
Yeah.
laugh at, okay, that didn't work. And what you mentioned earlier, what works? I'm trying to be cognizant of our time. What works? Like you want to focus on what works, but you also want to pay attention to what doesn't work, but really shift out of that quickly. So what didn't work today that I did? What worked? Awesome. End on the celebration. And then you get to tweak what didn't work and move forward for the next day. But it's really
Yes.
important that you look at both sides of the coin. And my internet connection looks unstable, so I hope I'm not freezing on you.
Oh, you did for a minute, but then you
Okay,
came back.
I'm back. I'm back. So yeah, so many golden nuggets today, Leslie. Thank you so much for being here and your time. Go make sure you check her out on YouTube. Go reach out to her. How can we reach out to you? Through your website, correct? So we can reach
Yes.
out to you
Yeah,
there.
that's probably the best way.
Okay, can you say that your website again?
Sure. It's my first name and my last name at .coach. So LESLIE, F as in Frank, IORENZO .COACH.
LeslieFiorenzo.coach. Awesome. So before we wrap up, Leslie, I like to ask this to have some fun. That is one of my branding story. That was one of my what is the word? It's like the words that you put in, like the way you want your vibe to be in your branding. And mine is fun. I tell all my clients, I'm like, if you're not having fun, like this gets to be like, you get to enjoy the journey. Yes, it's not easy. It's a hard, entrepreneurship is hard. It's not easy to build a business. It doesn't happen overnight, no matter what you hear. There's a journey along with it. Enjoy that journey. And you get to document that journey so you can look back and share that down the road. That becomes part of your messaging, part of your story, right? Right? It becomes part of your story. So do you have a fun fact that you can share with us that we would not know about you on YouTube or on your website?
So my husband and I do like to travel. And because of that, we've had some opportunity to explore both coasts. So Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Mississippi River, and now all 5 Great Lakes. I've dipped my toes in the water of all those bodies of water.
Wow, that's so cool. I
Yeah.
don't think I've seen any of the Great Lakes.
Oh, you've got to come. I mean, Florida, so Florida and Michigan both have something in common because we're both peninsulas and surrounded by beautiful bodies of water.
Yes, yes. Leslie's in Michigan and I'm in Florida, so we have something in common there. But I've never been to the Great Lakes. I need to go now. That's going on my bucket list.
All
So thank you for sharing. That is a fun fact. So thank you so much, Leslie. Thank you for being here today. I'm so grateful. This has been an awesome conversation. For you listening, go reach out to Leslie. Step out of your fear. Whatever, if you have a calling on your heart, like Leslie did, and does, and you're ready to pivot, no matter what stage of life you're in, you can always evolve. Life is an evolution. Just where you are right now doesn't mean you're going to be here in 10 years, you're going to be here in 5 years, or even next month. You are like evolve and grow. That's the purpose of this journey here on this planet. And step into whenever that idea comes into your head, don't discard it. Like Leslie said, write it down and see if it's something that's viable that you can step into. You are given that gift of an idea. Nobody else is given it. It's yours uniquely. You get to step into it and make it happen and make it come to fruition. And yes, there's fear involved, and you get to step through it. And if you need any support in that, reach out to Leslie. She'll support you.
Thanks, Heidi.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Have an amazing day. Thank you for listening to S.H.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, and be empowered. See you on the next episode.